Welcome back to the program. Boys of Summer, Michael Carianis and Jimmy Smith here on the Home of Sport in Sydney and, of course, in Brisbane, SEN 1170 AM, SENQ 693. Give us a call. The Guildford Hotel open line. Guildford Hotels. The Knockoff Fridays. Grab that lunch, $15. They are creating value, we understand. Our number, of course, 1300 01 1170. A valued member of the SEN Cricket commentary team, 56 test matches for Australia, 45 ODIs, and strong opinions. Simon Katich is on the line. G'day, Simon.
Good morning, guys.
What a test match, all over very quickly, which we'll get to very shortly. Travis Head, why was he able to make batting look easy when all else around him were failing?
Well, he backs himself to the hilt, doesn't he? And that's the difference when you've got that confidence and belief in your own ability, regardless of the situation. You go out there and play. And he's been, I guess he's been backed in by the hierarchy. He was in and out of this test team probably only 4 or 5 years ago now. And I think in these last couple of years, particularly under Pat Cummins and Andrew McDonald, they've given him the freedom to play his game regardless of the situation. And they probably don't get too uptight with him if he misses out a few times because they know he's a genuine match winner. And we saw it again on day 2 in Adelaide, in front of his home crowd, magnificent 140, and that's his 8th Player of the Match award, which is just remarkable. He's a match winner, and his innings basically turned a Test match on its head.
He was outstanding there, Simon, and there was obviously some conjecture around potential punishment between he or Siraj might face. What's your take on that? Should they face any sort of fine or warning, or what do you think?
Yeah, look, it wasn't a great look. I mean, obviously it started with the send-off and then it led to Travis getting pretty upset with what was going on because he just made a magnificent 140. It's just a shame that Siraj had a bit of a brain fade and sort of gestured towards the pavilion. So, look, there's no need for that in the game. I reckon he would regret that, Siraj. It was all spur of the moment. And then when I think he got Mitch Starc out not long after that, he was pretty sheepish. I think he realised he'd made a mistake and obviously the crowd was giving it to him. I think Travis Head's apologised for what he said out there. It all happens in a split second and it's hard to control emotions sometimes when, you're upset with what's just unfolded. Look, I dare say they're going to both be spoken to by the match referee. What punishment gets handed out, I'm not sure because of their prior records. But yeah, it wasn't a great look, and it didn't. His innings didn't deserve to finish that way, let's say. And I just think Travis Head reacted to the gesture, and you can't blame him for that. He was probably upset with what was sort of being directed his way.
Simon, how would you describe the relationship between the two sides, the tensions that are rising, and as a highly combative, highly competitive person yourself, and you expect that every one of those 22 players out there are pretty similar, and one of the criticisms of Australia coming out of the first test was they were too nice. I got no problem with this argy-bargy at international cricket level.
Yeah, look, it's going to happen from time to time, You don't know what headspace some of the players are in at times. Obviously, Siraj had been hit around a bit the other day. He was obviously probably disappointed with his performance, and then something like this can happen. So, look, it's never going to be completely 100%, everyone's out there shaking hands with each other. You'd love it to be, played in great spirit where there is none of that, but the reality is, there's going to be tensions, there's going to be emotion spillover, particularly when it's a big series like this and both teams are desperately trying to win. Yeah. As long as it's played, in a good fashion. And when I mean good fashion, you can play hard with the way it was going the other day. But then as soon as Travis Head gets out, there was no need for that. Basically he's played a match-winning knock. It should have been the opposite. He should have gone over to him and probably patted him on the back. So well played, because it took a pretty good ball to get rid of him. But yeah, look, hopefully it doesn't, ignite the series, but I dare say, given the history of India-Australia in recent times, and given the fact that India have won here the last couple of times they've toured, I dare say it's going to get heated in the next few tests because the series is on the line.
Simon, shocked. I was absolutely shocked to see that on the sideline interviewing Mohammad Siraj after the day 2 incident was Harbhajan Singh, who was stoking up a bit of emotion. You probably couldn't believe it either.
Look, Budgie was a good competitor. We had many good battles. He was a very skillful bowler, and I think, it's great to see him over here. First and foremost, because the Indian team's produced some amazing players over the last, however long they've been playing Test cricket. So There's plenty of greats out here at the moment. Sonny Gavaskar's with us, and Ravi Shastri's with us. So there's, it's great to see Budgie here. But yeah, I was shocked as anyone to see that happening.
There were some interesting comments from Marnus after the game around the changes to his technique, and it had Jimmy and I just discussing how much change can you do in a week, and who would be leading that change. So as a batter, Simon, when you're sort of in a run of outs, how much change can you make in between tests?
Well, I think the first thing was, I think a big part of it was his mindset, because what we saw in Perth, he didn't want to lay bat on ball, and spoke about batting for long periods of time and emulating Pujara and that, but he forgot about the basics of batting, which is to try and put the bowler under pressure, but also to try and rotate strike first and foremost. So I thought what he did really well in Adelaide, and it was like the old Marnus batting again, was he absorbed the pressure early, which he had to, because they didn't give him much to hit, and they sort of stayed in the channel to him, and they thought that he was going to come at them and probably try and nick one, but ultimately what he did was he got himself in a much better position technically, particularly his front foot. In Perth, he was hardly getting in front of the crease, and he was just digging a hole for himself because the bowlers were able to bowl to him, and he didn't look like he wanted to hit it. Whereas in Adelaide, once he got off the mark, he then started to look busy and wanted to hit the ball, and they probably bowled a little bit straighter to him, and he picked them off, which is his strength, and they probably weren't quite as disciplined to him as they were in Perth, where they just kept putting it through the channel and making him come to them. So, look, I thought he played really, really well. He and McSweeney set this test win up. I know Travis Head gets player of the match, but without their knocks on the night of day one, Australia probably don't win that test match, because when you compare it to Perth, if Australia had been 3 or 4 down overnight, that test could have played out completely differently. So those two deserve a lot of credit for laying the foundations for what was a very good win.
Rob, listener says, question for Simon, please. Simon, do you see Steve Smith returning to form and scoring runs soon? Innings of 0, 17 and 2 thus far.
Yeah, look, I thought in the second innings in Perth, I thought he was moving pretty well, and he looked like he was busy at the crease and basically trying to rotate strike well. He hit the ball cleanly. He got a pretty good ball in that second innings from Siraj, and that can happen. Just when he was looking to get going. I think the other day in Adelaide, it's always tough when you nick one down the leg side, and he was disappointed. You could tell when he was walking off, he couldn't believe that had happened. But they're no doubt they're going to attack him pretty straight. He's 35 years of age now, so they're going to make him play a lot early on. But yeah, I mean, the signs in Perth were pretty good. He could well be, like Marnus was after that first test, maybe feeling, that like he's not far away. He just needs, obviously, to go up to the Gabba, have a clear mind and get out there and just play and spend some time at the crease. And, it doesn't take too much. You just have to win those first 15, 20 balls, get a couple away, and then before you know it, you get to 20 and you feel good. So he's got all that experience to draw on, and I dare say he'll enjoy the challenge of going up to the Gabba next week and getting amongst it. All
right, Simon, overrates. In one quarter we say, well, it doesn't matter because test matches are over in 2 days and one session. But it does matter if you've paid your money on day one and you only see 80 or 75 overs bowled. What's the solution?
That's exactly right. I mean, that's the attitude. I know there's all this talk about it. Oh, there's plenty of entertainment, and there is. The modern game is so good to watch. And everyone that came, had a great time. But it's not fair to the person that comes on day one and only sees, I think it was 77 overs. It's ridiculous, really. It's supposed to be 90 and there's 77. So I know the game's in fast forward and there's breaks for wickets and this and that, but it's got to improve. The only way I can see it improving is they have to get harsher than the penalties they've got at the moment, because they're not working. The fines for captains or whatever it is, they don't care. Board probably pays it, players pay it, and the players are getting plenty, so they're not worried about a 10 grand fine. So ultimately, it's going to have to come down to something serious where, right, if you're behind at the end of the test, then the skipper's missing the next test. Or I thought the other day, maybe the opposition get to choose which player misses out the next test. And if there's someone like Bumrah who's on fire and they're behind, then bad luck, mate, he's not playing the next test. And then your teammates will be making sure that you're getting through, because they won't want to miss the best player playing the next test match if he's a match winner.
Oh, wow. That's an interesting one. That has got a lot of merit.
Yeah, give it to the opposition.
Yeah.
You find out pretty quick who the opposition rate.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Simon, I've got to let you go. Really appreciate it. Great job over the weekend. We'll look forward to hearing you in action from Brisbane on Friday.
My pleasure, guys.
Simon Katich there, part of the SEN Cricket commentary team. You are listening to the Boys of Summer. We're powered by Kubota. Take on any job with Kubota's range of tractors, mowers and utility vehicles.